I have the pleasure today of having Belinda Carlisle, who is the principal of the Institute of Personal Care Science in Australia. Welcome, Belinda.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Our pleasure. So, your background, obviously, you're a cosmetic chemist. You were the lead technical advisor for In Cosmetics globally for 5 years, and you also have a naturopathic degree, so you're a wealth of knowledge. I found over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of misinformation about hyaluronic acid and the different molecular weights that are available in cosmetics. So I'm wanting to explore that a bit more so we can debunk some of those so consumers can feel confident in the products that they're applying to their skin. So my first question is, what are the benefits of hyaluronic acid in general for the skin?
Well, first thing I need to explain is that you're not actually getting hyaluronic acid in a formula. Okay. So in a formula, when we formulate, we don't have hyaluronic acid to access. You actually only have hyaluronic acid in your skin already. When we're formulating, we will use either sodium hyaluronate, that is the most common form used, and there is also some very low molecular weight and oligomolecular weight hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid. Now, this is not the same as what we have in our skin. So it's really important for people to understand when they're seeing a product promoted as containing hyaluronic acid, it really actually doesn't usually contain hyaluronic acid. It's sodium hyaluronate. So let's talk about the hyaluronic acid in your skin first. This is really important, and this is where a lot of the misinformation and misunderstanding comes from. So you naturally produce hyaluronic acid in your skin, and it is kept below the stratum granulosum level by a lipid bilayer in your skin. And that's a good thing because we want to keep that in the skin. It binds naturally with water to give suppleness, give hydration, help your skin look, plump and young. And of course, it's got lots of other benefits with collagen synthesis and things like that within the skin. Now, this is what your body naturally produces. And that's at the dermal level as well. Now, you do also have some epidermal production of hyaluronic acid. Now, as we age, the production of hyaluronic acid from our skin decreases, and its ability to bind with water in the skin decreases, which means as we age, we can benefit more from topical applications. But topical applications of your sodium hyaluronate and your actives and formulas doesn't penetrate beyond that stratum granulosum level. So it's really at the top layers of the epidermis where your cosmetic formulations can benefit. Now, that's of most benefit where you've already lost a fair bit of sodium hyaluronate or naturally occurring hyaluronic acid in your skin. It doesn't have the amazing benefits that people are hoping for, and this is where a lot of the problems come in. People are using high molecular weight hyaluronic acid in formulas in younger skin where it really has no real benefit. And also can cause some of these perceived, and I've got to emphasize perceived, irritation issues. And that's simply because they're putting a substance on their skin that their skin doesn't need. I can definitely delve into this perceived irritation further with you in the next couple of questions. But just so that your listeners understand, the biggest problem is they're being promoted a product that says it's hyaluronic acid in the product. It's not. And then there's different molecular weights that will have different benefits for different age groups. And unfortunately, from all the misinformation and mispromotion on the internet, particularly across your TikToks and your other social medias, people are using low molecular weight far too young. And therefore, they're getting these perceived irritations because it's simply something that they don't need.
There's misinformation being spread that low molecular weight, which is like 50 kilodaltons, and then you've got your very low molecular weight, which is down like your 2 kilodaltons, that they're quite inflammatory for the skin, and that if anyone uses a product with it containing it, that it's actually going to cause inflammation and transepidermal water loss in the skin. And of course, there's so many brands now that have multiple molecular weights in their products. Could you just comment on that? Like, what's your experience as like a chemist?
First of all, it's absolutely laughable to suggest that hyaluronic acid or sodium hyaluronate, the product that we apply, could dehydrate the skin. That's just laughable because it actually binds strongly with water. So when it's introduced to the skin, and again, it doesn't go below the stratum granulosum, so it can't affect the water in your skin.
Yeah.
What it does is it pulls a lot of water from the environment. Now, the issue with your high molecular weights, again, this is just why this comment's so ridiculous, because all weights of hyaluronic acid will provide a film forming and moisture protective barrier to the skin. No matter what weight you use, it's going to have that effect and that benefit. The issue is when, say, a younger user, let's say a 25-year-old, uses a low molecular weight because it's been marketed as being, a lot of people think the more you have, the better. That's not correct. And a lot of people think the lower molecular weight, the better. And that's also not correct. So when we have, say, a 25-year-old or younger, because they watch TikTok and think they need it, and my daughters are even culprits of that. They come to me, Mum, do I need this? And it's like, oh my God, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. No, you do not need that. So when you have a 25-year-old or even a 30-year-old using a low molecular weight hyaluronic acid, what happens, two things happen. One is a water flux. So they use this material, it penetrates the stratum granulosum and it sets up this water flux, which gives the immediate sensation of heat and prickliness. And it's just a water flux. And this is because they already have so much hydration in their skin. It's like a rush of water in the skin to that barrier. And remember, it can't cross that barrier, but it feels like heat and it feels like prickly sensations. And also they're getting the water flux from external moisture in the air. And this is because they don't need it. It's causing this water flux to that stratum granulosum level, which gives this sensation of heat and irritation. It's not heat and irritation. It's a water flux. Yep. It's a rush of warmth because the water in your skin is very warm. We're warm. Yep. And that's how it's perceived. So you just don't need that low molecular weight. Now, if you want some moisture barrier protection and you've got younger skin, 25 to 30 years old, you don't need much hyaluronic or sodium hyaluronate at all. And if you do, you really only need the high molecular weight, and that's going to give you some film-forming moisture barrier protection. Now, not that we want to give away our ages, Jacine, but in women more our age, we will benefit from the low molecular weight hyaluronic acid because our skin has naturally depleted both at the epidermal level and the dermal level, so that when we put low molecular weight hyaluronic acid onto our skin, we get the desired amount of water flux. We don't feel heat and prickly sensation because we don't have an excess of hyaluronic acid in the skin already. So for us, we get that suppleness, we get that youthful appearance we're aiming for. But again, we're talking more towards the mature skin type here. We're definitely not talking the younger skin types. And that's one of the issues. The other problem is people will sometimes use hyaluronic acid, particularly the low molecular weights, on broken skin. Yep. And again, you get this massive water flux. Even in mature skin, if we use it on broken skin, we'll get this water flux. And again, it's that rush of heat that gives a warm sensation and a prickly sensation. It's a water flux. It is not irritation, but it's perceived as irritation. So don't use hyaluronic acid products on broken skin, or, we shouldn't be using, if you've got very broken skin, you should probably be seeking further assistance on it. If you do have some pimples or things that are slightly broken, well, if you've got pimples, you tend to be the younger demographic. You should be using high molecular weight or no sodium hyaluronate at all, because your skin's just not going to get the full benefits, or you're going to get this perceived irritation. If you are older and you have a little bit of broken skin from, say, dry skin or an irritation, you might feel some immediate sensations of heat or prickliness. It is not irritation from the sodium hyaluronate. It is a water flux. It will settle down and then you will get the benefits. But again, if you've got a lot of broken skin, you should be looking for other products, because all your sodium hyaluronates will give a moisture protective barrier, so they definitely will not hydrate the skin, and any heat or prickliness sensation is to do with that water flux.
It's something we also recommend, particularly for rosacea clients. We also recommend, maybe do some barrier repair for a week first before you're introducing anything.
Absolutely.
There was one study recently that came out that looked at the lipidomic profile of what low molecular weight 50 kilodalton did, and they were showing that it does actually increase filaggrin, ceramides, and cholesterol. But given what you've said before about that rush into the skin, that's one of the reasons why we say the same. Just wait a week, try some barrier repair products with ceramides and cholesterol in first, calm the skin down. Then you can add this for more, barrier proofing properties and things as well. So we've covered that it's almost impossible to dehydrate. I actually learnt recently at the ASCC, which I wasn't aware of, so I loved that I learnt something new, that hyaluronic acid can sometimes break down and formalize and hydrolyze within the formula, and that sometimes can cause irritation. Are you able to comment on that at all, Belinda? Or
I'd probably steer people towards that research. I haven't actually seen that research to comment.
yeah,
The hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid is your oligo, very small. So
yeah,
hyaluronic acid. So again, it could be, I'd have to look at the study for more details. Was it done on younger people? What sort of skin type was it done? Was it done on broken skin? I'd have to look at that more
yeah,
to comment properly.
yeah.
My first thoughts would be that, look, you are using a very, very low molecular weight material there. You are going to get the best sort of penetration, but with that, you're also going to get potentially this water flux. I'd need more information to comment.
So really the summary of today is that hyaluronic acid, there's different molecular weights suited for different skin conditions, different ages. Not everyone needs it, particularly the younger demographic. So is there anything besides the age thing? Should people be avoiding it, or they just need to do the appropriate thing for their age?
Yeah, I would say that they really need to, instead of just relying on social media, the problem with vloggers and bloggers when they don't have a brand or when they don't have any sort of science qualifications behind them
Yeah,
is at the moment, they're not regulated very well, which
yeah,
means they're saying whatever they've read somewhere, which makes it very unreliable information in some cases. I'm not saying this is everyone. Some of them, can have some very good information. They tend to have more of a science background. But I guess for people wanting to use a sodium hyaluronate, or let's say it's a hyaluronic acid product, again, it's not actually containing hyaluronic acid in most cases, it's sodium hyaluronate, is to actually talk to the brand about what their skin concerns are rather than just relying on these social media sources. That's the way that you're going to get the best information for your skin. And if you're not feeling confident with the brand's information, or if it's just marketing, or if you speak to the brand and they're not confident in talking to you about your skin and its needs relevant to your age and skin conditions, then go to a brand that has got that science behind their selections.
yeah,
Because again, with social media, it's unfortunate, and I see it all the time. People are being influenced into using products that really aren't the best choices for their skin. And they need to speak to the brand with the
yeah,
product. They need to speak to someone who's knowledgeable with
yeah,
the ingredients, not just what they've read on the internet, not
yeah,
just what's the latest fad or trend. And then you're going to get the best results from your skincare. And that's ultimately what we want, isn't
yes.
it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. You're an absolute wealth of knowledge. And I know when I started my cosmetic chemistry years ago, you were an absolute icon to me, and you still are. You're a walking encyclopedia.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so much for your time, Belinda. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.